About everything that could go wrong with me did go wrong with me. First thoughts, I think, for most people are your immediate thought was, am I going to die from this? We have all daughters, and daughters like to see their fathers strong and able to protect them. And I couldn't even get myself out of the bed. I had cancer 5 years previous in my lower left leg, and that had gotten all taken care of. And for some strange reason, it came back to visit us again. I am 65 years old. I was born and raised in a little town called Ravenna, Ohio. My wife's name is Kimberly. We have 6 daughters and 10 grandchildren. I was having lower back pain, and then I was having an incredible amount of pain down the front of my right leg. And I thought maybe it was a pinched nerve or I'd done something because I liked working out. And I thought, well, at my age, maybe I'd done something wrong. And I went and actually had a scan done by a doctor. And he said that he called me back the next day and he said, we know what's wrong. He said, and I got some bad news for you and that you have cancer. And that was not what we were expecting to hear. And when you hear something like that, that kind of really sets you back on your heels. And so our first reaction was we got in contact with my oncologist. We went back to him and we had some chemotherapy treatments, and I had some really bad reactions to some things. And it got to the point where he told me that this was beyond him, and then he put us in touch with the hospital in Columbus. We really didn't exactly find out what was going on until we got sent to Columbus. And the oncologist in Akron, I will always be grateful to him because, he had the wherewithal to say, hey, this is beyond me, and I don't know what to do with this. And then he put us in contact with the hospital in Columbus, and we met Dr. Voorhees, and he took the ball and he started running with it. Because my wife had pushed the issue, that's what got us into Columbus sooner than we were actually scheduled to be there. I had large B-cell lymphoma, and the tests were, we had a lot of blood work done. Some of the side effects I had is I had some of the worst itching in my life over my body. And it was actually to the point where it was causing me to have a different outlook on things. It was horrible. I've never had anything like that in my life.
So when he was given his first round of chemo, he had some severe reactions. And they started a second round and the reactions got worse. And that's when his skin started to blister and he was treated as a burn patient. And at that point, his doctor said, this is way more than I can handle. And I want you to go to the James Cancer Center. I think in the beginning, you don't really process because you're on autopilot and you're doing everything you can for your loved one to get them to treatments, make sure they're comfortable. And oftentimes the reality of what's actually happening doesn't sink in.
Most people just think, well, it's something simple. I'll get it taken care of, and then we'll move on the next day. Our next day turned into a 2.5-year journey. So a lot happened. Then another time, things just weren't going well. And I was running out of life. And that's when you look in your family's eyes and see that, it's not an easy thing because you worry about them. Believe it or not, you worry about them. Our main goal was to get to CAR T therapy, and we had to choose some interim treatments in order to keep the cancer at bay long enough to receive CAR T. And I can remember talking to Dr. Voorhees, and I remember asking him, I said, what do I have to do to be eligible for this? And he said, you have to be able to walk into my office. And 10 days later, I walked into his office, and it was all by the grace of God. And every bit of it. I mean, I went from being flat on my back to walking into his office in 10 days. So that's I didn't know anything about it. We learned quickly, especially with my wife. She has a curious mind, and she doesn't accept not knowing things. Where I'm more of a big picture guy. You just tell me where we're going to be, and I'll be there to do my part. Now, my wife is a detail person, and because of who she is, we learned quite a bit about CAR T therapy and how it works. So that was at that time we thought that was our cure-all. We really believed that, but again, that was another step that got us to where we needed to be.
In between the time they took his T cells, he got his conditioning therapy. One of our daughters got married, so we got to go to a wedding, and his hair started falling out the next day. So it was we were so thankful that he made it to the wedding with hair. And then it was T cell day, and it's very anticlimactic because you do all this pre-work, and they bring them in. We took a picture with the T cells. And it's like, I don't know, a half an hour. And it's like, okay, we're done. And then we're like, well, now what do we do? And so very anticlimactic. But he was in the hospital for a week to be monitored. And then there were no side effects. And every day we kept waiting for these horrible side effects, and they didn't happen. And we're so thankful, based on his previous history with side effects from everything, that he got CAR T treatment and no side effects. And the first scan they took right away, there was no evidence of lymphoma at all. There was this euphoria that we hadn't felt. We didn't even know how to accept it. And, he immediately started feeling better. He was gaining weight. He was able to do a little more of his normal activities, like clean up the yard and that kind of thing. But when we knew something wasn't quite right,
my wife was a blessing through all this. She was an absolute rock, and I would not have made it without her. My wife is a gift from God for me, and I truly believe that. So, no, I felt absolutely nothing. I was having, my energy level was starting to increase, my weight was starting to come back on.
It was the proverbial feeling of the rug being pulled out from under you. That was, with those 100 days when he was cancer-free, was the first time in over a year that we'd been able to take a deep breath, talk about what's next, those types of things. We celebrated him being cancer-free on a first trip to Hawaii. This is to celebrate being cancer-free after CAR T therapy and all of the amazing help we got from the folks at the Ohio State Cancer Center, the James. So here's Michael trying to pop his cork on the beach in Hawaii. Pictures on the beach, the whole bit. And then to learn that the cancer was back. And at that point, there was no standard of care for what happens after CAR T. So there weren't any clear answers on where do we go. And the lack of clear direction was the worst for us.
When we first got the news, I'll be very honest with you, when I receive information like that, I go quiet. And I'm an internal processor, and I think a lot of things through before I'll comment on them. I will tell you that I had feelings of anger and frustration because of it. And the next time we met with Dr. Voorhees, that was the first thing I said. Why didn't somebody tell us that that the success rate was less than 50%? And he said, I don't know why that didn't happen. And I mean, to his credit, he didn't dodge the question, but he was very honest with us about it. And you don't want to hear bad news, but quite honestly, you need to hear everything that is coming at you so that you can make good decisions and run with it at that point. At certain points, when you're dealing with things like this, you'll start reaching for things that you normally wouldn't think about because you don't want to die. And so you start doing things that, with hopes of success. And that was one option that we chose to take. And again, that did not work well for us. So. No, that was pretty much the jump that got us to where we are right now. And where we're at right now, I can't tell you how grateful we are, people. I don't know if it works for everybody, but it sure works for us. And for the first time in a long time, I can plan a future. When you go through things like this, every time you do something, you wonder if it's your last time. But it's not. And because of what has happened to us, what's been presented to us, we can look forward to things like spring and summer and next fall and planting the garden and playing with kids and living life and growing old together. We didn't have that option for a very long time. Dr. Voorhees, we were in his office and we were sitting and talking, and he says, I have several options for you that you might want to think about. And I love him dearly. He's a good man. He just is a good man. And the nice thing about him is he makes you part of the process. He makes you part of the solution. And if you start maybe getting off the path a little bit, he'll gently steer you back on, and which I've always been grateful for and appreciated. But he said, I've got some things here for you to do, and he laid them out to us. And it was my choice. And the choice that we made, or the choice that I made, was something that I thought would work best for me because of how my body handled CAR T therapy. And this was very similar to that. And so we went in that direction. Now, at the time that we made that decision, the FDA had not approved it yet. So we actually were, and they have a name for it. We got special permission to start the medication. And I have to tell you, within a month of receiving that and the medication that I was getting, weight started coming back on, my strength returned. I was able to do things that I hadn't been able to do in quite a while. To be very honest with you, I'm back up to 238 pounds, and I'm getting to do things that I never used to do. I'm like I said, I'm back to working out a lot because that's something I enjoy doing. My wife and I, we ride bikes, we kayak, but we have a motorcycle that we ride. Play with grandkids. We live life. We ride roller coasters. We love to ride roller coasters, and that's something that we do. And we travel. We like to travel, and and that's something that is something that was taken from us. A lot of things were stripped from me when we went through this. And I'm a person that likes to have the right to make his own choices. And I will tell you, that was a very hard thing for me to accept. And even to this day, when I think back on what happened, it doesn't sit well with me. So, um, but you learn to deal with it, and you get to the point where you find the goodness in things. I'm on a medication called Kimberly. Right now, I take one injection a month. That's all I do. And it started out where I was taking one a week, and then for that went on for a while. Then it was one every 2 weeks for a while, and then we got to the point now where I'm taking one injection a month, and that's all I do. And that is a very small price to pay for the results that we're getting, um, and that's, in my mind, that's easy compared to everything else that we've been through. That is a very easy solution. It's a very new medication. Again, I don't know if it works for everybody, but I know that it works well for me. And um, and the information is beginning to get out to oncology physicians that this is an available medication. And so that's part of the reason that my wife and I are doing what we're doing. We're we want to help, and we don't want anybody to go through what we did. And if there's anything that we can do to, help somebody look in another direction, or hang on one more day, or to give them a little hope that there is a better tomorrow out there, then that's what we're doing, and it's working. It's working wonderfully for us. I thank God every day that those people are there as a group to come up with the medication that it saved my life. It saved my life. That's one of my greatest hopes and prayers, that people have the opportunity to continue on till tomorrow, to enjoy life, to enjoy their families. Don't wait. I mean, if you think it's going to go away, it's okay. It's okay to go to the doctor. It's okay to find, that, hey, I need to have this checked. And then when you get to something that may be a hurdle that you need to cross, be your own advocate. Be involved in your own care. Make choices. Find a doctor who will talk to you, not at you. You find a physician that is going to work with you. And if the physician that you are at now is not that person, don't be afraid to move on. Move to another place that is going to do what you feel that you need to do. Because at the end of the day, it's not really just about like me. It was about my family and continuing on to be with them. Advocate for yourself. Don't be afraid to find information. Don't be afraid to look around. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask all the questions that you want to ask until you're tired of asking them. And then maybe ask a few more. And make sure that you're getting the information that you need to hear. Because you are responsible for that. You owe yourself that much. And don't be afraid to change. Don't be afraid to try things. And for heaven's sakes, rely on your family and friends, because they want to help. They may not always know how, but they want to help. And allow them to be part of the healing process. It makes a big difference. It just does. And it's a good thing. There has been some goodness come out of all this, and we're trying to focus on that now. The things that happened, I've tried to forget some of them because they were so bad. And I'm just trying to look to the future and to, enjoy life the best way we know how. You have to have hope. And I know that's going to be really hard at times, especially if you're getting bad news after bad news after bad news. And sometimes that happens. But you have to find a reason to hold on. And that is a very hard thing. It really is. You just don't want to give up if you can't. You have to find something to hold on to. Again, like I said, whether if you're a person of religion, God is your rock. If it's your family, something, you have to have something to hold on to get you to the next day. Because that's what happened with us. Everything that we did that didn't really work was just a stepping point for us to get to the next step, to the next day, to where we are today. And it's so very hard sometimes to quit or to give up, and do everything in your power that you can not to. And I will also say that it's okay to contact a mental health person. Sometimes you just need to talk things out, because you're under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress. Your family's under a lot of pressure and a lot of stress, and you're having a lot of questions and maybe a lot of doubts, and you're wondering if I'm going to have it tomorrow. So again, that is another avenue that you can take to help you clarify and focus on what you have got to do to get to the next day.